Hi, this is Jennifer at Arch Web Marketing. This video will look at responsive web design. We'll start by comparing two sites, both with and without a responsive layout. Then we'll look at how different sites manage menus and content flow at varying screen sizes.
To get started, let's take a look at a website both with and without a responsive layout. Now, currently, this website for Actus Performance is a static page. It does not have a responsive layout, so it will be fixed. As I close the browser window and make it more narrow, the page content stays exactly the same. So now suddenly everything on the sidebar is cut off, parts of the menu are cut off, even the content itself is cut off, and I would have to scroll horizontally to see all of the content on the page, something that's very difficult to do, particularly on mobile phones. So now I have turned on the responsive layout and refreshed the page. And now if I resize the browser, the content adjusts. The first thing that happens is that the sidebar flows underneath the content. Then gradually the menu bar will get more narrow and the content reflows to fit the page. As we scroll down, we'll see that the sidebar content is positioned below the text. Some of the images have been removed for clarity, and but all the content is still there and visible. It's just in a much more usable format for the smaller screen. Jumping to the site for the Google Safety Center, this is a very clean, simple layout, and it does a good job of illustrating the key areas that you're going to want to consider if you are looking at having a responsive layout for your own website. The main things you're going to want to consider are the flow of content, which is what comes first, what's positioned after, how things reflow as the screen size changes, the menu, how it reflows, or if the elements are stacked or if they get condensed as the screen changes, and then images and font sizes. Images will typically resize to a certain point, and then you might decide to remove them altogether at a narrow screen width. And font sizes will generally get a little bit smaller because when you're on a small phone, you don't need a jumbo 18-point font. So let's take a look at that with the Google Safety Center. Right now there's a large header image and a large font headline over top of it and a menu bar at the top of the page. As we resize, this top image is going to resize as well, and the font changes, it reflows so that it's never on top of anybody's face in the picture. Then when it gets to a certain width, the photo is actually quite a bit it's not as high. It shrinks down and the headline goes over the entire image. The menu gets condensed into what's called a hamburger icon. If I click this, it will expand and show me the full menu. And then if I click it again, it disappears. The reason for that is so that it isn't taking up screen real estate on a smaller window. You only see the menu when you specifically request it. And then the rest of the content flows below just as it did before, but now in a single column instead of multiple columns. So let's take a look at a few other options for images and layouts and menus. The FoodSense website is an example of a responsive layout that accommodates several different screen sizes. So here on the main page there is a menu in the sidebar. There's also a menu below the header image, and it's a two-line menu. So it has a large heading and then it has a subheading. Now, and then below that there is also 4 columns for images and various blog posts. So note the changes at each of the different window sizes. The first is a very minor change. The menu is still in the sidebar. The menu below the image has been reduced slightly so that there is no sub-menu. This just helps bring the blog content a little bit closer to the top of the page. Now, as we shrink things down again, there's a more dramatic change. In this case, the sidebar menu has actually moved to the top of the page. That removes one of the columns from the screen. The blog content still stays in its 4-column layout, and the menu below the banner image has stayed where it is. If we close a little bit more, there's going to be another shift. And this time, the menu, the sidebar menu has stayed at the top, but it's now just text, which makes it a little bit easier to read and click on at a small screen size. The banner image has shrunk down appropriately, so has the font, and the blog posts have now changed to a 2-column layout. Now, you might be wondering what happened to the menu that is below the image. It has simply been removed. Its contents were a duplicate of the menu that was originally in the sidebar and is now at the top, so that redundancy has been removed. As we shrink the screen, there will be one final change, and that occurs right about now. The top menu is going to flow and be above the logo, and the blog content is now going to be in a single column. This actually also lets those blog images stay at a fairly large size, so that they still have some dramatic impact. If you'd like to see what your website looks like at different screen widths, go to mattkearsley.com/responsive. There you can look at your website as viewed in an iPhone, an iPad, or other tablets and smartphones in both vertical and horizontal orientations.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to receive more video and blog tips into your email box, please join our list at archwebmarketing.com.